Good morning. Welcome to GreenStone Services. CCleaner version 5.33. Malware inserted. Now what do I do? I'm not going to lie. This might be the third time I've made this video. But that's the joys. So essentially what happened was there was some stuff that was inserted into the CCleaner program, and it was done before the programmers made it into a program. You can find more information by just typing in Cisco and Talos and then CCleaner into Google or internet browser like Firefox or whatever your favorite flavor is, and you'll get all kinds of information about it. Essentially, the whole purpose behind it was so they could gain control of the entire world. And it's not really known what the purpose behind it beyond just wanting to gain control was. Was it going to be like a WannaCry? Was it going to be where it would be a hijack? Was it going to be where they assimilated data or set up a network to start filtering information? It hasn't been said what that information that they would be looking for would be. But the code was there. So what do we need to do? The first thing that we need to do is in Windows 10, which is different. I will cover that just shortly. In Windows 7, you go to Control Panel, and then you find Programs and Features. Highlight your CCleaner, which I have version 5.35, but let's pretend it was 5.33. You right click it and uninstall. Follow the prompts. Click on finish. Yay, it's off the machine. Now, let's say that you were using Windows 10. That one is a little bit different. So on Windows 10, a shortcut you can do is the Windows key plus X, and then you go to Programs and Features. Then it's the same process. You find CCleaner, highlight it, and if it's that version, right click and uninstall change, and then either select remove or uninstall, either or. And then once that gets done, the rest of the process is exactly the same. So, moving on forward. What do we need to do? We've gotten rid of CCleaner. We need to get it back on our machine. Now there's something that I've been asked from the website, from Facebook, and from text messages, and that is, do I still trust CCleaner? And I most certainly do. And the reason why I still trust it is simple. It has to do with the way their parent company that owns them reacted to all this. They essentially found this infection inside that file about the same time that Cisco and Talos outed the parent company for that being in there. It was a surprise to everybody, quite really. And no, this isn't the first time this sort of attack has happened. This has actually happened before. Isn't that funny? Bad smells in program code. But anyway, the long and the short was about March of last year, there was another one that was a fairly famous bank program that happened with. And there was another instance of it about 3 months before that. And the way that it happens is the code gets into the program before the programmers turn it into that program. And then it gets bypassed. And here's how that happens. Whenever you are a big developer, you pay a substantial amount of money to Microsoft saying, I am a big developer and I have only but the best interest in mind for my consumers. And Windows goes, okay, now we have to vet you. And then they vet that person or that company. And after that process, then they get something called a trusted root certificate that costs a lot of money for that company to get, so that they can kind of get a free pass to install on the computer without much inspection. And that certificate is the thing that has a lot of people up in arms about that CCleaner code having the malicious stuff in it, because it completely bypasses everything and just installs what it wants. And that was the crux of the situation and why it made so much news. So whenever we go to download it, I want to show you guys something real quick. In here, you notice if you scroll down a little bit, you get CNET, FileHippo, Softonic. If you don't download it from the source, which I know that the company that started CCleaner is Piriform, but if I were to get it from one of these other companies, I would be right back in the same situation, because they insert their own stuff into these programs. Never download it from those companies. Only get it from the company that you know is the source. So once we get there, we download it. Notice the name of the company that started it is right here, Piriform. Then we run the program. And this is where it gets fun. I uncheck these because this is my personal preference. You don't have to. But the reason why I uncheck these two is because when I right click on the recycle bin, I don't want 20 or 30 options on my recycle bin. And that's me. And I do want anybody to be able to use it. I've already read the release notes, so I'll uncheck that. And this is where a lot of people get overwhelmed, because there's so much stuff in here. So let's ignore it for the moment. Let's go over here instead. We're going to go to options and then monitoring. I always turn this guy off, and the reason why is I run this on my personal machine religiously. Now on my business machines, I take care of them on my own. I have scripts that I have set up that just do everything for me, so I don't really have to worry about it. They kind of do the same things, but they're Windows-based scripts, and no, we're not going to get into that. So anyway, the long and the short is I turn this off so that it doesn't pop up about every afternoon saying, hey, I can save you 0.5 gigabytes of space, because I do a lot of file transfers and making ISOs and this, that, and the other, so I always got all this junk building up on my machine. If you like that warning though, feel free, leave it on, no big deal. Now back over here to this tab. This guy right here is for Internet Explorer. You really don't have to worry about all these checkboxes at all, because if you read them one at a time, it's not that big of a deal. You're going to get rid of your temporary internet files. So as I tell people, whenever you get on the internet, as soon as you touch the internet with a browser, it's always pulling in temporary files. It's always pulling in ads. It's always pulling in text. It's pulling in pictures. It's pulling in Flash and Java. It gets rid of that. The history. So where you go to shopping places, or you check out this, or you look up this problem that you're having with getting a transmission to fit into a Ford, or if you're looking up recipes for Girl Scouts or whatever, it gets rid of all that. Cookies are tracking for the most part. Used to, cookies were to say, yes, I've been here, this is my user ID, and this is my information to log into the website. But cookies are highly insecure. Pardon me. So cookies are now just for tracking IDs. Recently typed URLs. So what that is if you type in www.gss.fyi or google.com, it gets rid of those. The index.dat files, those are internal files for Internet Explorer that keeps track of things for you. Last download locations, so if you like to save to the desktop or to pictures or to download, wherever that is, it gets rid of all that stuff. So it goes back to its default settings. See, I told you, it wasn't that bad. It's the same thing with Explorer. We're just going to skip over all that. Now, in settings or system, you have these guys right here, and they're kind of important. Always make sure that Windows log, Windows error reporting, DNS, and front cache are checked. And there's a reason for that. DNS cache, that can actually help you out a lot. Like if you have AT&T here in our local area, let's face it, they're not the greatest, and their DNS servers go up, they go down. They switch, they change a lot. So this can actually help out with that. If you think you're having a problem, you can run CCleaner, and it can clear the DNS cache all the way up to that point. It's actually kind of cool it can do that. The Windows log files and the Windows error reporting, these are things that usually techs would use, but if you're not having a problem with your machine, it's okay to clear those out. If you are having a problem on your machine, hold off on running CCleaner so that whenever a tech does look, they can see the problems. And that ties into the Windows event logs under Advanced. But there's one last thing I want to say on that. Whenever Peggy or the bad guys call to talk to you about your machine and we got those reports that you sent in, however many years ago that was, they're not really showing you viruses on your machine. They're showing you this stuff. They're showing you the Windows log files, the error reporting, and the Windows event logs. And I can actually show you what they're going to show you. If you go to Computer, you can show yourself this. Manage. Then once management comes up, you go to Event Viewer. And they'll give you this big spill about, oh, if your computer is running the way that it's supposed to, you would never see anything in here. Anything that has to do with this won't have any yellow triangles. Oh my God, you have a virus right here. And then it's a scare tactic from that point forward. If you look at this isn't a virus. Especially if you go to the details, it will tell you very specifically what it is. A bunch of boring stuff that the average person, and even myself, doesn't care about. This is the Customer Experience Improvement Program, which is directly related to Microsoft trying to get Windows 10 put onto my computer. Even though it's a Windows 7 computer, and they quit trying to push Windows 10 a long time ago. If you keep scrolling, oh my goodness, there's another virus. See that yellow triangle? Oh, that's not good. Oh no. You see what I'm getting at? That's what they do. But for most people that don't know computers the way that I do, I find it not necessarily funny. It infuriates me that they do this. These are just things that help a technician like myself whenever there is a real problem by using the search type things over here, drill down where the problem is actually coming from. Is it a card that is malfunctioning inside the computer? Is it a piece of software that is preventing something from working? Is it a IRQ conflict? Is it whatever? So ignore those people. So if you run this, it clears that out, and if they ever call you, they won't find that stuff. And then they can't tell you that you have a virus, and then you can get off the phone and feel like a very smart person, which is a great thing. So moving on over to Advanced. I always check these three right here. Well, actually these four. Windows event logs, old prefetch data, menu order cache, and trade notifications cache. And like I said, that ties into the other we're just talking about. Prefetch data on older computers that still have spinning disk. This helps speed up Windows a little bit. Menu order cache has to do with keeping the start menu a little bit better shape, and the trade notifications cache is over here, this guy. Now for applications, we'll keep this very simple and very quick. We've got Firefox and Google Chrome, our other two browsers on this machine. Usually I leave these guys alone. I don't care if they save the passwords, but I'm very choosy with the passwords I'll let them save. Under applications, always uncheck Office. And here's why. If you, like most everybody else, has installed from a disk or from Microsoft in the download sections under good faith because you have a license and you have purchased it from them and or Newegg or a reputable source, you have used either a disk or downloaded from them to do this. The downfall to letting CCleaner clean up Office is it will remove the files you need to install a future component. So if you decided you needed to add, let's say, an extension to Word or Excel that you didn't install when you first installed it because you didn't tell it to install everything, you won't be able to do it. And that's just not fun, especially whenever you got to track down the very specific version of Office that you have, explain what happened, find your product code, and then call Microsoft's Office people, help them by getting your code to them, and that nightmare for a typical end user. It's even for a tech, it's not fun. But anyway, for the long of the short, that's pretty well it. Once you get all that done, the next thing is just to run it. So you click on Run, check this little guy, which will read this real quick. This process will permanently delete files from your system. Are you sure you want to proceed? Do not show me this again. And then you click on OK. I'm recording a video, so it would be foolish for me to click OK because said video would disappear. But you would click OK, and then it would run through and analyze your system. That warning, what it means is it's going to remove all the stuff that we have put checkboxes on. So you might have to type in a web address again, or you might have to type in a password if you wanted to remove the passwords. It's just notifying you that make sure that this is what you want to do before you hit Run Cleaner, because once you tell me it's go time, I'm grabbing the ball and I'm going. So just be aware that's what's getting ready to happen. Now, the registry side. I really highly advise people not to run registry cleaners. Now, if you are ever going to run a registry cleaner, this is the only one that I will ever run, and there's a reason for it. I've never, for the life of me, have I ever seen this guy blow up a computer. I mean, honestly, I haven't. I've ran this on thousands of computers, and some people will say that, and they don't really have the clarity or the presence to say I've ran this on thousands of computers, but I actually have. And not once have I ran this, restarted a computer, and then had it blue screen. It doesn't make assumptions like a lot of them do. It's not a speeder upper pro optimizer promiser, which is what I categorize most of those into. It just does what it says. It checks for these things, and then it removes things that's not needed in the registry, and it can actually help, but don't do it unless you absolutely feel like you have to, because messing around with the registry is a bad thing, period. End of story. Now, one thing I will tell you to do is if you ever see something in here for firewall rules, uncheck it. That means that you have put rules into the firewall for QuickBooks or something like that, and if you delete them, your QuickBooks will stop talking. Just FYI. Back to tools. Some neat things are in here. We're almost done now. Under startup, you can turn off things, so if you feel your machine's running slow, you can kind of give your machine a little bit of a boost, which is nice, by getting rid of the things that aren't needed. Here's a heads up. Most of the things that are in there these days are needed. You can look at scheduled tasks. So if you think that you have a virus, a lot of the times things will show up in scheduled tasks. Context menu, these are the right click things I was talking about. I try to keep mine as small as possible because it's a pet peeve. Browser plugins, just as what it sounds like. So you can look over at Firefox or Google Chrome and see what all is in there. And that's pretty well it. If you like the program, you can always support the manufacturer of the program by upgrading. It's up to you. I'm not going to say one way or the other. If you enjoy it, if you use it a lot, then it wouldn't hurt to throw a little bit of money their way. Myself, I have bought things in the past from Pure Reform, so I feel like I have contributed to them in their development, and that always helps out. But we have now upgraded to 5.53, or excuse me, 5.35, and so we have gotten away from the malware version. Now, the next step that I would highly suggest is use your antivirus and scan your machine. More than likely you won't find anything, but just in case, it never hurts. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Be safe, keep your eyes open, and remember, if it seems to be too good to be true, it probably is, right? So, see you later.